What's up, folks? I'm Oteil.
I'm Mike, and welcome back to another episode of Comes a Time. And today we were joined by the amazing Karina, the Frequency, Rykman.
I love that nickname.
I'm
She's
giving it to her.
She's tuned in, man. She's like a unicorn. It's great.
She really is. She is.
I mean, her personality is just like indomitable spirit.
Yeah.
You know, just indomitable positivity. She's a very clear person to be that young.
Well, she's not. I think that she's
know.
not that. Like she's sometimes when you hear old soul, you kind of think like you're
Yeah, that's
boring
what
or
I'm
whatever. Like she's not. She's
No.
she's the most like she's timeless somehow. Like
Yeah.
she's wise beyond like her years times 10. She
Yeah.
said something that I think like it rang like a bell when she said it, just like, just foundationally calm. That's so
Yeah.
amazing. And yeah,
And she's like foundationally exuberant.
Mm,
But there's
really?
like that, it came out of that foundational calmness, like,
Yeah.
you're going to enjoy this one, folks. I can tell you, you'll be smiling. Your face is probably going to hurt a little bit.
And she's got a big gig coming up on the 20 and what was it, the 24th, I believe. She says it on the episode. She's going to be headlining Brooklyn Bowl in Brooklyn. So if you're in the New York area, go check it out and support her and her band wherever they may be. And thanks, Karina, for joining us and brightening up the day. And we'll catch you guys next time. Enjoy it. Karina's one of those people in my life that it was like right away. I don't care if I even like if we met on a subway that was stuck or a waiting room or whatever. I kind of feel like right away you and I would have had like I could definitely chill with this person. Like we had an instant connection from the first time we met, and then I'm literally so happy for you every time I see a slow-mo video of you just rocking out with that blonde hair flying and the crowd going nuts, and you got that big smile on your face, and it's like she's truly in the moment and having a blast and enjoying the whole thing. And I'm so happy for you all the time when I see it.
Ah, you're too kind. Thank you. And I agree that from the first moment we met, it was off to the races on every level. So thank you so much. Oh man,
I think we're in like a small club, like the smiley bass players. Like, why do people not smile? Like, are you not having fun, or is it not cool? Or
sure, yeah.
The
I mean,
smiley bass players,
even if it's the least cool thing ever, like I couldn't help it, and like what? And I know you can't help it either. Like,
and
what?
I can't fake it either. Like, if it's not there, people are like, "What's wrong?" And I'm like, "Oh, my back hurts, or my amp sucks tonight," or it's like. It's obvious.
I almost wonder what would look
So
weirder, like a non-smiler forcing a smile or a smiler forcing a non-smile. Like a smiler forcing you guys trying to hold in a smile would just look so silly.
It would look
like,
hilarious.
Like you're picturing eating a lemon or something,
Totally. We also both move around a lot when we play, which is not a traditional bass player vibe, A lot of them are very stoic and they don't move. But I've tried to just not move anything. Not easy.
Yeah, once the drummer starts that sweet, like a drummer with the right foot, all that's going out the window. I can't help it. It's like, oop. Sorry.
It was fun. I think just maybe last week or 2 weeks ago, I saw the Wood Brothers, and Chris dances with the upright bass.
Oh, yeah.
Like he holds it and swings from it and moves it around, and it's just so fun to watch. It just really is. I mean, and even like with an upright. I mean, but old like jazz musicians they would move around the upright quite a bit.
Well,
right?
I think a lot of different bass player, in different styles of music. I remember guys like, they'd lean it out and spin it. And
Yeah.
Sure. Like rockabilly
awesome.
bass players, right? Like the old rockabilly guys.
And then the
Definitely.
British invasion, John Entwistle would just like, it's like he wasn't even there. He's so
see,
like
that's
the ox. He was just standing like.
That's the British stiff upper lip stoic bass player. Maybe that's where it came from.
Yeah, it's like I wonder if the car will be here on
Probably
time after the show. Like getting all their head
mine
is
somewhere else. Yeah, totally.
Yeah.
Totally.
Yeah.
But it's great. But he's so great. Like, you can't fuck with that. It's all, we all got our different ways, and it's all
I
good.
was at a dinner with him at a NAMM show, and I wasn't a huge fan of the band when I was younger, but it's like it's John Entwistle. Like, come on, man. Like, yeah. And dude, he got hammered. It was great, and he was like so much fun. It wasn't like he is on bass. You know what I mean? It was very. I was like, wow, this is cool. You
almost wonder if that was kind of like, I always thought maybe it was like a point counterpoint, because Moon was all over the place. Moon had 6 arms, you know what I mean? And it was just like, so the rhythm section for it was like the yin and yang, where like Moon's going nuts and Entwistle's just kind of, the like the lighthouse, and Moon's the storm,
And Townsend obviously is doing all kinds of crazy shit, so we have to it's good that one guy was like a little more stoic. Thank God for it. Otherwise it'd just be like, holy shit. That's
everyone gets seasickness otherwise watching the Who.
You gotta have some balance. So who were some of your bass heroes growing up? Or when did you start playing bass, actually?
I picked up guitar first. I'm one of those, around 12, 13. I had a neighbor that had a $12 flea market acoustic guitar that I borrowed. And I got completely transfixed and obsessed with that. And then at my school, sort of in the common area, there was one teacher who had a few acoustics, and I had a pal who just showed me a few riffs and whatever. Again, got very, very, very obsessed with it very quickly. For my 13th birthday, got an electric guitar. And then, the famous story is my mom didn't want to buy me a gig bag. She was like, where's this going to go? What do you mean? You're going to leave the house with this? And then 2 weeks later, I'm in a punk band that's rehearsing 3 times a week. I'm gigging all around New York. That thing left the house quickly, That was a band that I named called False Arrest. That was my little
it's such a great name. Band.
So great. Oh yeah.
God,
Which I got from an episode of Cops. I saw an episode of Cops, and there's a guy in the back going, false arrest, victim assaulted. And I was like, that's a great name for the band. But I digress. And then sort of shortly thereafter, high school, I basically was, in a bunch of bands where it was I played guitar in 2 bands and bass in 2 bands, and did a little of that and a little of that, and just I sort of didn't solidify bass until the Marco gig when I was 22. And then it was just oh shit.
Really?
Solidify? I was playing guitar in equal amount of bands that I was playing bass in,
Wow.
it was one of those. And then when Drywitz, came and, basically handed off the gig to me, I was like, oh shit, I think I'm a bass player now, you know what I mean? And I was just like, you gotta buckle down. Get rid of the 6
universe
strings. No
decided.
more 6 strings. Yeah, totally. And then I haven't looked back since then. I definitely would not hire myself as a guitar player for anything at this point. So yeah, that was sort of the math with all of that. And
so a lot of your heroes were not necessarily bass players. It was probably more guitar players, songwriters, singers. Or bands.
Both, all of it.
Yeah.
I mean, bass wise, back then I was really into Bootsy. I was really into Geezer Butler. I was really into, I was into harder, I had both sides of the coin, right? I loved Cliff Burton from Metallica. That was my guy in a lot of ways, because he played with crazy, crazy distortion, got in, and I thought it was so cool. I loved Les Claypool. Oh man. And I loved you. And for the record, oh my God, in high school, I don't know if you know this. I'm going to tell you right now.
Here's our clip of the week.
I'm going to feel old right now. Get ready to feel old.
Get ready to feel old. Yeah, no, this is between 2009 and, when the Allman Brothers ended, right? But I made it a point, I got very, very, very deeply obsessed. And I lived and went to school on the Upper West Side, So I would walk, the 5 blocks to the Beacon after school, and I would buy 1 orchestra ticket at the very beginning, right? and then I would find whatever the cheapest scalped whatever ticket, and I would make sure I stubbed myself into the orchestra every single night, and I went to all 10 nights of the Allman Brothers every year. It was a big, I did anything I could to be there, which includes, here's a clip of the week for you. Very bad Karina. Not good.
Oh my God.
Bad girl.
My parents, very bad. Okay, so my parents had a chest of foreign currency, like when they would come back from trips, or we would, whatever, and like my dad would travel for work and whatnot. And I would it started with a little. I would peel off like a little, like this is a Brazilian dollar, like whatever. Oh, this will buy my Allman Brothers ticket tonight. And I would go down to 42nd Street to the currency exchange place, get real money, give it to the scalper, get in the door, and and they didn't know for the longest time because I was being really coy about it. But then like years later, my parents were like, Karina, like, we're going to Europe. Like, where are the euros? Like, what? And I was like, oh no.
I got all your euros.
Here's the stub.
Yeah. I was like, dude, I had to be in the room. To me, it was Warren, Derek, and you. I had to, it was like the biggest clinic of my life. And I am forever grateful. And I had to see every night the interplay. The interplay was everything to me. And so I lied, cheated, and stealed to be there. Let me tell you.
Now that is a fan. That is a fan.
I'm going to write your parents a note saying.
That would be huge, actually. That would go over really well. That would go over.
I'm totally serious. Like, I'm sorry about all those euros that disappeared, but these are my beautiful kids, and you can feel good knowing that
the
really
money went
helps.
to a good place.
Yeah, it
went to a good scalper. It went to a great scalper. It was so rough. Oh my God! But it was. I regret nothing. They forgave me. After a while, it was. I was just like, when are you going back to Brazil? What is this? Like when are you? Never. Anyway.
So when did they finally? Was it Marco's get? When did they accept? Like, okay, she's doing this. Because it's harder for some parents than others.
Well, I'll tell you, they from the get-go were like, she's really into this. You know what I mean? Like there was no stopping me. There was no, it was all consuming. Like when I wasn't playing, I was attending. When I was, in a very, and not in a, like I never drank. I never did drugs. I never like zero. This was incredibly focused. Like,
that was your drug.
That was and is my drug, and it continues to be. And just like they know that, and that I wasn't honest about the foreign currency, but I was very honest about all of that. And
at least it wasn't for blow.
Yeah, I just wanted to see the Allman Brothers, man.
Yeah. You got a stormy Monday with some Brazilian.
Exactly.
Exactly.
So no, they from the get-go, they definitely were, cognizant of the fact that I was just so about this, whether or not that meant I became a musician or worked in the music business or whatever, like, which is like, cause I didn't know, I thought I would end up working in the music business cause there wasn't until the Marco gig, I was in 5 bands going nowhere. You know what I mean? It was just sort of like, there wasn't a clear path forward for me necessarily. And then the Marco thing changed everything and I'm forever grateful. And that's what I wanted, but you didn't, I'm very realistic,
see how it's going to come.
You can't.
It comes from, you cannot see how it's going to come.
And I think, Karina, I think you and I have talked, and I'd love to hear more about like how great Dave was as like he was like, I trust her to do this gig, right? Which, I mean, what an amazing gift to give you, right?
The greatest that, like, he really changed my entire life, as did Marco, and just his trust and faith for no reason. Like, I mean, well, they would probably say different, but like to me, like it's just like that's just crazy, and of course I was like, oh my God, like it's my last semester of NYU. I'm writing my thesis. I am working, like I have a full salaried job for this concert promoter called Rocks Off that like, so I'm working a full-time job finishing up at NYU, and then I joined Marco's band that same semester, and it was just a crazy time to be alive as 22-year-old Karina, and I lived and breathed Marco's music for the few months that I had. I was like, this is around the clock internal situation. I like learned 40 tunes in like 2 or 3 months or whatever it was. And then shit was forever changed, fellas. Shit was forever changed. It was the greatest. Dave gave me the greatest gift that anybody could give somebody. You know,
He's the
that was it.
sweetest guy. I haven't had as much time as I'd like to hang with him, because usually when I'm there, it's because he's not. But we have played on the same bill with J-Rad sometimes when he's there. And the times that I get to hang out with him, man, he's just so real, so down to earth, so sweet. And you just, it's hard to catch that in the music business.
So true. No, he's the greatest.
Me, for a lot of my time, I was just drunk, chasing women, chasing weed, like,
stealing Brazilian currency.
Well, I was, but not for anything good, like just a concert.
Just a concert.
Dave is another one of the smiling bassists. Now that I think about it, he
moves too. He's got his thing.
He feels it.
He does. He totally has his thing. Yeah.
He's got that kind of.
I love him.
Yeah.
He's the greatest. Oh my God. Yeah. No, I mean, of all the mentors I could have had, he is an incredible human and player, obviously.
There is kind of that interesting element with some musicians where, we think about like the difference between being in the crowd and being on stage. And there are those folks that when you're in the crowd and you're watching them play, you're like, they're just as happy to be here as I am. And it's and that's something that like really makes the moment even sweeter. You know what I mean? Where it's like we kind of are like pulling for the band always, but we know that you're pulling for us too. So it's kind of this neat, like, hey, how cool that we're doing this, guys, together. Like that part always is so important. And I see that in both of you and Dave in particular. Like I'm thinking about Ween shows that I've seen him at and J-Rad stuff. And well, I mean, he's got that kind of like, I get to do this. Like how cool.
Totally.
It's a humility thing, and it makes the moment that much cooler for us.
100%. I couldn't agree more. I like to see it and I like to be it, because I feel that way every time I get to be on stage. Like it's such a miracle to me.
Do you have the ability to enjoy it in the moment while you're up there? Like I know you are obviously in a state of like you're just up there, you're having a blast, but like is it always like on always for you?
The only times when it's not is when I don't know the music very well and I'm struggling through it for like a rant. If I like had to learn a shit ton of tunes in a short amount of time for something that is out of my element, meaning not my band or not Marco's band or whatever, and I'm like, oh shit, I have to like think about what change is coming up, and like I'm like, oh, like that takes me out of it a little bit. But even then I'm still euphoric to be there, or whatever. But when I know everything and the shit plays itself and it's no longer me, I'm just the channel that, which is how I feel in my band. And it's how I feel in Marco's band. Because those are my two homes, I'm just like that. I'm a slave, surrendering to everything. And I enjoy every second of it. I eat it up like a fucking something or other. I love it.
It's not you anymore, you're the channel. That's perfect.
What is the setup of your band, like the instrumentation?
It's another 3-piece. It's all just
cool.
I'm just in a shit ton of power trios. It's me on bass and vocals, and then my dear friend and guitar player Adam November on guitar, and I know he's not a porn star, not yet. It's unbelievable. And
he wouldn't even have to change his name.
He's already he's primed and ready, and Chris Corsico on the drums, and that's been the band for a little while at this point, which is kind of crazy, and but like Adam, he's up there. He's not just a guitar player. He like programs all kinds of crazy shit and has like 4 loopers, and he loops down there, and he's like an upstairs pedal board, and he's looping there and then looping that and then making it reversed and pads, and he's doing all kinds of crazy shit over there. I don't know what he's doing, but it's great and I like it. That's the shit right there. It's so
and
cool.
that's what you're going out on the road with here soon.
Yep.
Excellent.
Yes indeed. Yep, we got a lot coming up.
Yeah,
where you guys headed?
Coming up. Every festival,
everywhere.
Yeah,
kinda. We're headlining the Brooklyn Bowl on.
Nice.
when is that? Thursday, February 24th. And then
Congrats.
thank you. And then, yeah, I play 2 shows with Marco, and then I come back. And then the very next day, we go out for like a month, which will be opening for Pigeons playing ping pong all across. Like, we start in Texas, and then it's like Arizona, and then from San Diego all the way up to Seattle and everywhere along the way. And then coming back across the country, we'll do like 4 headlining shows, which I believe are out of order, Indianapolis, Chicago, Cleveland, and Detroit. Not in that order, but yeah. And then come back, and that'll take me, basically I'm gone March 1st to March 28th or 9th. So
That's
gone for the
big.
month of March, fellas. Gone for the month of March. It's crazy.
Must feel nice, huh? After all the pandemic.
It does. I mean, I'm a road dog. I love this shit. It's
But
great.
you did the pandemic in an interesting way too, though, Karina, right? Didn't you rent a house up in the woods with your band?
I didn't rent it. No, sir. So what? Well,
lived in it. Sorry.
I did live there.
Bought it and then burned it down with your parents' money.
Bought it, burned it. Yeah, that's exactly what happened. Thanks, Mom. Just a couple more Brazilian dollars. Just a couple more. Oh, right. No, so that's not what happened. But my best friend and my roommate and my platonic life partner and my archivist, Isaac, his parents have a house upstate. And they very, very kindly let me, my boyfriend, Isaac, his girlfriend, Isaac's brother, Nathan, we all lived in their house for 4.5 months, which was absolutely crazy. And everybody plays music, which was incredible. So we all just sort of like, and we never thought we'd stay for that long because nobody knew what the fuck was going to happen. Right. But we got up there and the world crumbled, and we were like, oh shit, I guess at least we're together, but we're here for a minute, and it was the best thing I could have imagined for those times, just because you're trapped in a house with your best friends and lovers and
not bad
running. It's all right, and we were, it's in the Hudson Valley, just sort of making it rain and trying not to go insane. And we had a great time. And then, after 4.5 months, we were like, all right, we can go back to the city now. I think,
you had your little COVID big pink.
Exactly. And, I've never, that's the longest I've ever spent out of Manhattan. I'm
Really?
not, I'm born and raised here and have never left, and I'm not leaving. And I'm we've talked about this on the Amigos pod.
New York
Mike. New York runs through my veins. I'm like that guy. You know what I mean? I can't like the whole, trees, cool, but no, like
trees cool.
Trees are great for a minute, it's like, oh, it's a nice dose of trees, but then I'm like, oh God, what?
What a great commercial for New York.
Dude, to me, it's about pavement,
rats,
people, all bullshit aside, it's about seeing humanity right in front of you. For me, I'm not this is my house and this is your house and this is my car and this is your car. No, in New York, all that shit's out the fucking window. But you know why? Because you don't see any of that. Because even if you're the richest person or the poorest person and we're on the subway together, it doesn't matter.
Yeah.
You don't know. You're not like, oh, here I go into my driveway. Oh, my driveway is nicer than your driveway. It's like, fuck you. We don't know. Even if, I don't know. It's just I think it's a great equalizer, even though it's not. You know what I mean?
No,
but
it's everything is a pigeon's toilet in Manhattan. So it doesn't matter if it's your car or if it's your bike or your scooter, it doesn't matter. It is interesting that it's so true that you say that. I remember when I was living in Queens, one day there was a refrigerator on the sidewalk, and the next day the doors were taken off of the refrigerator, and then the next day people started putting books in the refrigerator, and then that little by little became this community bookshelf where it was take a book, leave a book. And, and the fucking refrigerator was there for a year. I moved, COVID hit, and I'm like, fucking crazy that it's just an old refrigerator turns into a bookshelf. New York is the most unique, You're right. It's humanity right in front of your face all the time. Teal and I almost got run over in the West Village, like right before the. I mean, yeah, we had to literally evade a 3-wheeled pickup truck that almost killed us.
No,
With
well that's
sparks
bad.
flying. It was down like this.
Shit.
The front wheel was off. And it's like out of a movie.
That's
like,
insane.
But that's New York. But then that's New York. And remember, O'Teal, we were walking away from that, and another guy's going, "They're stabbing my friend in the park." Do you remember, like, right away there was another guy, and the cops were like, "Yeah, take a number." It's like, we got to run away.
Yeah, we know.
We got a runaway truck over here.
First things first.
We got problems. We got problems here.
I'm always fascinated, though, by, like, if I'm walking around Manhattan and I see, like, little kids with their book bag or their lunchbox or whatever, I'm like, what's their life? Like, what's growing up as a child in the friggin' big city? You know what I mean?
Especially through the pandemic. I thought of that a lot.
Well, that's intense.
True.
That's a whole,
You know?
that I can't speak to, unfortunately, but I can speak to what,
What was it like just being a child in Manhattan?
I mean, it's the best thing ever, to me, it was the coolest, dope it. Like, there was nothing I would have ever, people are all like, oh, you got to move to the suburbs so that your kid has a backyard to play around in. I'm like, my backyard was the park, and I had every kid in my building. We used to go and just like, I had in my building a posse of like 12 boys, and we would go and ride skateboards and scooters and anything with wheels on it, and we would run amok. Like, it was the best thing ever, and it was, again, like, you didn't have to be like, hey, does Julie want to come over? Does Dylan want to come over? No, we just met downstairs, and it was there for you. You know what I mean? Like, it's ingrained. It's ingrained. And Halloween, best shit ever. You know why? Because you don't have to knock and get, one person's candy. You go into your friend's apartment building, like my apartment building, four units per floor, right? Boom, boom, boom. You're just like, ba, 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 ba. And then some of my pals, are you kidding me? In these like condos that were, 16 units per floor, bada bing, you're killing it. And then some of these people just leave a fucking trough out for you. You're like,
that's what
great.
I would do.
This is going right in my bag. So being a kid in the city is the best shit ever. You just have your posses, and you have, I don't know, growing up in an apartment building is like the coolest thing that I would want. If I ever procreate, I would hope that I could do it like that. It's not easy. It's not, I'm not saying it's like, open up the door and let your kid run around easy. It's not like, but I don't know.
That's everywhere. I mean, we got lots of trees down here, and you still have to you got to be checking what's going on.
Well, and it's kind of interesting. Like, when you move to the city too, you almost kind of have to learn how to be a kid again. And not overthink everything so much. Like, when like when you move to Manhattan, like I moved to Manhattan to do stand up, and it was kind of like I had to learn my city within the city. Like, I didn't care. I knew New York. I've been going to New York since I was a kid. I grew up an hour away, but it's like I had to learn my city inside of the city. So it's like I could get from this club to this club by taking this train and going over this way, and I could stop and eat that pizza I like, and I can go to all that stuff. And it, like you said, like, you get your posse, and New York is a posse of posses that are just kind of running running their ways, and kind of, it's interesting. It really is.
Totally.
It's
unlike
wild.
anything, it's sort of, I find it very, I mean, what the fuck do I know? I've only lived here, but I think it's very singular, and having toured the country extensively at this point, I've certainly seen other towns, other cities, other whatever. And like, to me, every time I come home, I'm kissing the ground. You know what I mean? I'm just like, basking in it. I just want to run down 6th Avenue listening to crazy psychedelic music. Just like, yes, this is it.
Now that's
a
love for New York. If you're kissing the streets, that is a love for New York.
Oh, and I yearn for the weirdest shit. I'm like, the Container Store. It's so beautiful.
The Container Store.
Specific halal. I love it. It's so great. The sushi. I'm just, it's, it's not for everyone, but it's definitely for me. So
it does spoil you in that way, for sure.
Yeah.
I do have a couple of cities, though, that are like New Orleans.
Oh, yeah.
I get a special thing going down there. it's nice to go through all the different cities and see the differences, you know. But New
Yeah.
Orleans always is the one that I just keep going. I don't know
Oh,
what it is. The people's accents, the food, the music, the everything, the
well,
everything.
that's the only American city that's defined by its culture. You know what I mean? That's
Hmm.
the one that the culture is.
Yeah,
You know what I mean? There's
That's a really
not
it's
good
that
true.
sort
point.
of,
Yeah.
It's
and
true.
so I think that speaks volumes, you know, because New York isn't. New York's fucking corporate hellhole at this point. You know what I mean? It's like completely overrun by money and banks and all this
Yeah,
bullshit, you know,
yeah,
which is a shame, you know, but it's what it
Yeah.
yeah.
is, and
It
you know
is what.
all that stuff. New Orleans is so pure in that respect, and I could live, you know, for weeks just basking in it,
Me
and it's
too. I
so
like to
Yeah.
cool.
go. I can't live there, but um, but I do want to spend like as much time as I can there. I just
Yeah.
So
it's
true.
that
Oh,
frequency. That's my frequency right there. You
Oh
know,
yeah.
oh yeah,
because New
and it
York is my
vibrates.
frequency. My parents are from there, so I have it in my blood. Like
Oh no
when I
shit.
get behind the wheel, that's when I know. I drove my bus in New York one time, and the
Oh my
guys in my
god.
band, the old church bus, the Peacemakers bus, and the guys didn't want to drive it in Manhattan. I was like, "Come on, do it." And I was like, "I just have the gene." I was like, "Okay,
Dude,
there it is." But it's too crowded for me. After like a couple of weeks, I'm like,
Yeah.
I need elbow room. You know, I just like
totally.
I
Little
freak out a little
6
bit. You know.
feet.
Yeah, just
Totally.
like,
Well,
will you not rush me at the grocery store? I just want to like chill for a second. But
sure.
you know,
Totally get that. Oh my god.
but
Well, at
New
least you learned
Orleans
how to
has it.
drive. I never learned how to drive.
You don't know how to drive. That's another thing about New Yorkers that's insane.
I'll
Is you
never
don't know how
learn.
to
I'm
drive.
out. I'm totally out. I took the test twice, failed both times. This is when I
Really?
was 18. Oh yeah. My parents never had a car. I never grew up with a car to practice on. You know, you'd
That's
have to like call the place, and then some dude pulls up and he's playing Margaritaville radio, and you're all like, all right, cool, sounds good. And then like you learn a couple turns, and like you think you're good, and then you take the test, and the lady's like, pull over. Karina, that left turn was crazy. And I'm like, why? You know, I didn't know it was crazy, but I don't know a left turn from my ass. Like, what the fuck? What is this? I don't know. Anyway, yeah, I failed never. And now it's part of my whole thing. You know what I mean? Karina doesn't drive. There's no, it'll
I.
never
That's
That's
come up.
awesome.
winning. Sammy Davis Jr. never drove. I'd love to hear about the different, like just icons that never
Right.
drove. They were just
John
like kind of
Zorn.
just.
Zorn, no license, dude. It's fucking crazy. I'm like, yeah, I want to be like Zorn. That's so
That's
dope.
winning. I mean, you got an Uber app now. Like, who cares? Like, and in New York, between the subways and the cabs, like, you don't, you
You
know.
take the subway everywhere, or you walk. I walk like when I go
Yeah.
somewhere, right? And I'm like, wow, I really haven't walked at all. And then like come back to the city, I'm like, I walked 17,000 steps today without even trying.
Without
You know,
even
I didn't
thinking
even
about
think
it.
about it.
Yeah.
Didn't think about it at all. I walk here, I walk there, I walk here, I walk there, a little subway here, a little subway there. Like next thing
And
you
it's
know,
so
you're
funny
in.
because Manhattan's actually not that big. You know what I mean? Like that's the weird
True.
part about New York City is it's
Yeah.
tiny. It's like a little pinky finger. But
People
it's
You can
wouldn't
walk
come
across
hang
it.
out
you can
on
walk
the west
across
side,
it.
on the Upper West Side, you know, because we were playing the Beacon and we lived on the Upper West Side or Upper East, and they were like, "Oh, I don't go up there." Like the
I
whole
know,
island's only
right?
12 miles long. What do you can walk
Oh,
here? What are you talking about?
you're out of your mind. Come
That
on,
was
people.
that was
Come
the
on.
that was one of the things that threw me for a loop when I moved to Denver. It made me realize how tiny it is over here. Like how
Right.
like literally, you know, like cuz I would walk basically when you know, didn't want to drive drunk, so I would like walk to bars and it was like a long Denver mile high altitude, not a lot of oxygen walk, you know? And then I would
Sure.
think back about New York and it's like, shit, I didn't want to walk 10 blocks. Like what a lazy idiot, you know? But it's just then you know, now I'm like, yeah, I'll walk anywhere in the city, but you don't realize it because it's like you're in Soho, next thing you know you're in Chelsea, next thing you know you're in Hell's Kitchen, like whatever. You just kind of cruise
Right.
around and it's just like you're visiting different cities every time you turn the block, you know?
It's true. And cultures and like, you know, so many restaurants, you could never eat at every one of them if you spent every day for the rest of your life trying. You really couldn't, which is
Yeah.
like, to me, I love that. I feel like, but like some people would get overwhelmed by that concept. But to me, I'm like, I will never see all of this. And as you
Endless
say, it's
buffet.
this fucking big. It's this fucking big. Like, you know, It's just so cool to me, where it's just, I don't know, that to me is magic. I'm like, that excites me. The fact that like, you're not just like, oh, well, yeah, there's the Japanese place and the bakery, and the traditional American bistro, and that's
the
about
diner,
it, you know?
and
Yeah,
and
like, you know,
Moonstruck's over there, and
totally. Where it's just like you have like your 4 options for, which is very quaint and cool. Like, if you know, like, I think that has its charm as well. But to me, it's so exciting that there's just like endless options of like stuff to try, stuff to get turned on to. I don't know. I think it's awesome. But that's just me, man.
Teal, Karina headlined the Beacon. Right before? Was it?
No, she didn't.
No, not the Beacon. Not the Beacon. Brooklyn Bowl. I'm talking in advance. See, I put it out in the universe. Soon you're gonna be headlining the Beacon.
Dude, let's go.
Brooklyn Bowl, and I went to it, and it was like, and I had my O'Teal T-shirt on, but it was man, everyone was there having a blast and like so stoked for you, and you crushed it, and now you're going back and doing it again. Like, when you think about headline in that room, is it like, obviously it's got a special place in your heart, but like, can you like just share a little bit about like that, like what that room means and stuff?
Oh yeah, no, like playing there is like playing like really on home court to me, because that's, you know, such a special place. I've been going to since, you know, I used to get like special permission, like Shappy, you know, they'd set me up like long before I turned 21, and there would be a scary guy. Like, he'd be like, you have to go to this guy, and they would give you a stern talking to. Or like, if I see you drinking, if I see you talking to somebody drinking, if I see you talking to somebody about buying you a drink, you are so gone. You are never coming back. And I'm like, I don't even drink. I don't drink, you know? So it's like, I don't want anything to do with it. I just want to see the band, you know? And they would X me down like harder than any other club, you know? And I would just be like, I'm good, man. I'm really not trying to drink. And it was super, super, you know, those formative times before I turned 21, you know, and like going when I was 17, 18, 19, like all that shit. I was so just happy to be there. An incredible vibe, obviously. And, you know, I don't know, Shappy can like really just created something that's so unique and special. And we forget, because now it's, you know, you got one in Vegas and you got one in Nashville, and you had one in London and all that stuff. But like the Brooklyn Bowl, that's home, you know, and you eat the best food, you can bowl, you see music, and just the way that the levels work. I don't know. I just find that room is so conducive to an excellent time that to, you know, get the opportunity to play it, let alone headline it with my own name. Like, you know, outside right now, it's like my name is just there. And I'm like, that's crazy. Like, I would have never dreamed of that, you know, and like, I'm so grateful, you know, and yeah, we did that in 2019. And now I actually watched a video from that the other day, and I was like, oh man, we did not know what we were doing. Like, I was just shooting from the hip, you know, and like, now I'm like, dude, I have like a full thing going on now, you know, like I'm like, oh, I can't wait to like play like my shit, you know. I don't know, I was looking at that being like, damn, Karina, what the hell are you even thinking of? But people were there. Roll. It's all good, baby. It's like, you know, we were doing something. People seem to enjoy it, but I was like, wow, all right. Yeah, I'm wildly excited to return, and it's kind of crazy. That's like the first show that kicks off my month of being away. Like, we haven't played since like mid-December live, you know. We've been rehearsing our asses off. Let me tell you, definitely been playing, but it'll be cool to like get out in front of folks again there, you know, and kick it all off there with a headline show when I'm about to do like, you know, 20 opening slots, you know, which is awesome. And like, you know, I'm super grateful to do that. But yeah, totally, it'll all be great. So yeah, that's my Brooklyn Bowl spiel. I love it endlessly. I think it's an incredible club, and very grateful to play there.
I want to ask you about how you avoided the whole drinking and drug thing. Is this a generational thing, or was it because you like weren't on the road per se, or how did that happen? Because like everybody that I've been on the road with, well, not everybody obviously, but lots,
sure,
you know.
Lots, yeah.
No your doubt. Mental health isn't good when you're doing that, you know.
No, well, I don't know, from the get-go, none of that, like as like a younger teenage, like 13, 14, 15, like just that was sort of like the polar opposite of what I wanted to be into. I was so into music and into live music. I know that sounds like it would pair extremely well with all those things, and it does for tons of people, of course. But I don't know, for me, it was just not. I so didn't want to be that girl. You know what I mean? I didn't want to be the girl who's like, oh, here she is, always drunk on the shit. Like, you know what I mean? I was there. I'm telling you, I really just wanted to watch you, Derek, and Warren like play off of each other. I wanted to see, you know, I got sort of brought into the fish world in a very unorthodox kind of way, you know, where I was friends with like Trey's kids and was brought into this thing. And honestly, that was a huge thing for me, because in 2009, you know, I'm in 9th grade. I get brought to my first fish show, like totally backstage and the whole nine, and seeing all of this. And that's right when Trey got sober, and it was like this rebirth of the band in these very like defined terms, where backstage was me and the kids. Like, it wasn't a party, it wasn't anything. And they had, you know, a very stringent tour manager who was sort of like the gaze of like the law, you know.
If you ask anyone to buy you a drink, if you even go near a drink,
all of that,
Brooklyn Bowl all over again.
Like compounded, but before Brooklyn Bowl, you know what I mean?
Yeah,
it was
no,
just
I know,
like,
I'm kidding.
Yeah. No, but really, like, this was a real thing for me, you know, and you know, I didn't know anything about fish going in. I was like, your dad plays in a band? Cool. Like, wow, okay.
Oh, wow.
Great. No clue. And then it resonated with me on such a high frequency from moment one, you know, like I got taken to like the last night of Jones Beach in 2009. And then the next week they took me to Bonnaroo, which was just like, it was me in the practice room, me and Isaac, you know, who I mentioned from going upstate and the pandemic and all that, me, Isaac, and his brother Nathan and Trey's kids, like in this practice room watching Fish rehearse with Bruce Springsteen. It was just us. And we were watching them play Mustang Sally and Glory Days and Proud Mary. And I was like, this is literally the coolest thing that I've ever seen in my life. And I'm 15, you know, it blew me apart, you know, and everything. And I was just so grateful to be there. And that was such a happy accident of my life that I was going to chase forever after. And I didn't know what that meant, because of course I played music, but again, like, was I good? I didn't care if I was the ticket taker, taking out the garbage at the festival, like whatever it meant that I could be around that sort of frequency is what I wanted. Yeah. So that being so precious to me made me not want to be a liability, made me not want to do anything that would, you know,
how did that
make
work?
Me that guy.
That's incredible.
How did that work with other people though? Because not everybody's the same. Like the people you were playing with and or your age, I'm assuming, were they kind of on the same track?
Some were and some won't. Some weren't, you know. And in my immediate like little, I had this posse basically that actually ended up being a band called Youth Posse, and the four of us didn't drink or do drugs. Like that was we were obsessed with live music, support, and very like, you know, that was you found your family. Were definitely not on that. That was and then of course like we grew up a little bit and like. Yeah. Some of us, you know, did a little this, a little that, but like nothing bad or crazy at all. Like, you know, like I didn't have a drink till I turned 20, and I was like, oh, cool, a drink, you know. And I'm not saying like, you know, I enjoy a little tequila here and there, but that's really about it. And you know, I haven't even had a drink since September, you know, and not for fantastic. Whatever, you know.
Well, and look who's headlining Brooklyn Bowl. You know, I mean, it translates. You know? You got lost in your work, and it's a good thing. It's phenomenal.
Well, even just talking to you, like you are the frequency. Happy, you're present. You're, you know, like all that stuff is so much better. Not to just like drag yourself through the sewer just to get back to being. You're just like, why don't we just stay here, you know?
Dude, you can't get addicted to what you don't try. Let me tell you, it's a great thing. And
that's amazing.
And
that's
sort of the
what
math,
I wish people understood about that old story, that first story in the Bible about eating from the tree of knowledge. It's not like, oh, you should always be stupid and in the dark. It's like, you can't get addicted to what you haven't tried yet. Why don't you just wait a little while? To your little, you know,
Oh my God.
Yeah.
And by the way, this comes with zero judgment and
Yeah,
like you say,
absolutely.
like and I come, now I play with, people who are so high all the time, and that's awesome. I'm so about that, and people are, whatever your thing is, except for a couple things, or you probably shouldn't do that at all. But you probably shouldn't do that at all. But besides that,
Besides those things,
whatever is your shit, like, to me, it's true. Like, I'm fucking cuckoo for Cocoa Puffs. Just this is 11 in the morning. I'm good to go. You know what I mean? Like, I need nothing to make me more out there and open. I'm good. What would it even look like? I love, you know what I do love? Espresso.
Wow.
Hey, that's a drug. That's a drug.
And it's my favorite one, pal. It is my favorite one.
No, everybody, that's what I say. I'm like not judgy. I do my little vape pen. I don't drink coffee. I have a margarita tequila. It's the only thing that I don't have a hangover from anymore.
Sure.
Someone was like,
the tequila,
if you just
same.
do the high, like do the good stuff. And I was like, okay, we do the half a beer thing. I try not to drink, but then the kids, 4 and 7, it's like half a beer is going down.
I had a realization at one point at a concert where it was like, when I'm like running to get a beer, or you got to get 2 because you're spilling half of one on the way to get back to the seat. And then why do you want to like go get another one after this one? And then you got to piss halfway through the next song. And I realized, I was like, this is like I'm doing drunk cardio. Like, this is silly. Like, I'm standing in like a 2x2 space, shaking and dancing and moving, but I'm cocked. And it's like, what the hell is the point? Like, I'm like putting it in, sweating it and pissing it out, and it's making me miss half the concert. You know what I mean? And it was like, that's when it started to, like, for me, kind of to clicked in. It was like, a beer before the show, fine, whatever. You know what I mean? Like, but it's like, remember why I'm here in the first place.
It's how you see people so hammered, and I'm like, you just missed the show.
You just paid to forget.
So I guess you could have paid so much less money and got hammered at home.
Couch tour.
And when you passed out, you didn't hit the concrete. You just were like hit your couch or your bed. Like,
you would have avoided a world of pain. A world of pain.
A whole like, you didn't have to pay for parking. You didn't
blacking out in an Uber later.
What a thing. Yeah, I mean, everything in moderation. It's all good, man. It is all good. And, we love Casamigos, the George Clooney tequila.
That's what I do.
That's the shit.
That's all. I'm just like, Casamigos.
And if we're celebrating after a show, I'm all like, on occasion, totally into it. It's not an every night thing for me. It is for my band. Like, and I think that's fucking awesome. I'm so about it. Whatever.
If I'm going to celebrate after the gig, it's food. That's my celebration.
Let's talk. Let's talk.
Sushi or because that's my big thing now is like, don't eat after the gig. I had to lose weight. I mean, it was just like, sorry. I joined the Allman Brothers when everybody was fat. Except for Dickie. But I mean, it was just like, and you get around them and you just like, I'm not gaining weight. And then finally it was just like, oh, this is bad. So it's like, don't eat if it's 11, it's too late. Just go to bed.
Man.
So
Dude,
now, but if we're going to
there.
celebrate, it'll be food, not booze or drugs. It'll be like, okay, let's have some sushi or whatever,
My kryptonite, anybody who tours with me at any of these, like that, I am eating after the gig, crazy carbs, pizza, whatever the fuck it, like that is my vice. You're
young, but
you can. No, I feel that. I have a crazy my metabolism is like messed up. I literally wish I could gain a little weight. It'd be great. Like, I'm just putting it in.
That used to be me.
Well,
give it time.
I hope
Karina.
I'm not jinxing myself. But
you never know.
Who's to say? But to me, that, like, if you eat after the gig, and I remember like doing like a tour bus tour with Marco in 2017, which like we don't usually, like, we're usually in a Sprinter, but this is like we're in a bus doing the thing. I'm just, scheming where I can get like, 4 pizza pies delivered like right after, so that, because it would put me down. You know what I mean? Like, I would eat. Yeah. And then I'd be able to pass out eventually. Because otherwise I would just be like up all night, like so hyped on life. You know what I mean? And then like the carbs put me right down. I was like, this isn't the healthiest thing. This isn't good for you. But do I really care? It's okay. It's all right. Anyway,
did you see a lot of the world when you were a kid with your parents? Like you said, they traveled to other countries. Did you go with them?
Yeah, totally. Well, we would spend close to a month in France every summer. My mom's from Belgium. My mom's from Belgium. My mom's two parents were like full on Holocaust survivors, like in the Holocaust for real. My two grandparents, and they are Polish Jews and were on a train to their death, right? And then the Americans liberated the train, like stopped the train, freed the Jews, and it just happened to be in the Belgian countryside, and they fled.
Shit.
And then they went and they made a life for themselves in Belgium, where they had my mom and her brother, my Uncle Mark. What's up, Uncle Mark? And and they lived there until my mom was 14. And then they moved from there to Toronto. And, my mom had her unsuccessful life as a North American teenager there. She was just like, what the fuck is this? Like, this is crazy. And then, anyway, so I'm ostensibly French, and my dad too, my dad's family, he has Tante Irene, Aunt Irene, who lived in the French countryside. And my dad's from Princeton, but my dad's dad, also a Polish Jew, like crazy inventor, like invented random access memory of like he has like 108 US patents like that are under his belt and whatnot. Like Einstein used to hang out at my dad's place, like crazy brainiac shit, And then my dad as a grad student, my dad's a philosopher, for the record, and teaches at Columbia. And my mom's the head of the French department at Columbia.
Oh, I
so
want to talk to him.
Yeah.
Oh, he's super interesting. He's the coolest, I have the coolest parents. They're so incredible. But
that's why you don't drink, I think.
Well, because of
no, just because
dad.
you were around. No. The reason why I'm asking is because it's like, and not to cut you off, but I want to ask you this: when you see kids that kind of grew up sort of not exposed to like culture and exposed to love and exposed to experience and all the like, you kind of almost have to go seek it yourself, and you kind of have to maybe step in some potholes along the way, whether it's drinking or cigarettes or, stealing or whatever, and it's like, it kind of, you growing up in New York, but like, hey, let's go to France for a month. Let's go to this for a month. You like, are like, wow, life is fucking incredible. I don't need a substance to make it that way. Like I kind of wonder if that had something to do with it,
Well, and not to get all, metaphysical or anything on you, but like, it's not metaphysical, but just like sort of, the biggest gift I ever had was stability and love from my parents, which I still have. My parents, I was born in the apartment they still live in. They've had the same jobs for 40 years. They are the beacon of stability. They've never bought or sold anything of extreme value in my entire life. You know what I mean? It's been incredibly measured my whole life. And I felt that, and I felt grounded, so much so that I've never had to search for this other thing. You know what I mean? Like I felt loved, and I'm an only child. It's just me. And they had me really late. My mom was 43 when she had me, straight up, like, and I'm just like, and they waited until they could. They waited until they had it together enough to have the 2-bedroom apartment that they still live in, and like could have a kid in the city the way they wanted to, and they worked and they worked and they worked and they figured it out. And, my mom, again, coming from Europe, and then, this like roadblock, not this pit stop in Toronto, and then her knowing that New York was the place for her. And I won't even bore you with the story, but like, the way in which she fought for the job that she has still to this day. And of course she started just teaching, and now she's like the chair of the department and whatever, but she teaches 4 days a week and whatever. Like, what New York City means to my parents, it means to me too, and all those things. But yes, I went to Europe every summer, like with my parents, just because my dad, as a grad student, he's very involved in French philosophy. So there's a dude, Foucault, Lacan, and Deleuze. He knew all of them. And he went to Europe to work with them, and was like this grad student traveling around the French countryside with Jacques Lacan, like, observing people in like mental hospital, like all these like crazy things. And my dad was writing it all up and working and very ensconced in this culture of these French thinkers, you know? So my dad has all these friends over there from that era, you know? And so of course, Tante Irene, like I mentioned, like Aunt Irene, she lived there. So we'd go, and just all of these people from like literally, you know, French, whatever in the 70s. Those are my dad's people, you know? So we would go and just hang out. And then I would be like, I'm the only kid here. What the fuck is this? Where, you know, I'd have to like, you know, hobnob with the French intellectuals every summer, which was awesome and great. But then when I turned 13, you see it coincides with the guitar thing. I turned 13 and I said, guys, like, I'm so grateful. I went every summer from 5 to 13. That was like a month of my summer. I'm like,
Foucault's great, but
I said, that's what I thought. I was like, could I stay? I want to stay in New York for the summer. And they were like, oh yeah, sure, yeah, you got it. And they left me the keys.
They left
and
you
they
the
went
keys?
themselves. Yeah. And I
13 years old.
With my friends, you know, 13, 14. Yeah, I think 13 was my last summer. So like 14, I think that was it. And all I wanted to do was play music with my friends. You know what I mean? It was just like, you guys go, I'll stay. Like,
I'm thinking, am I going to
good.
be able to leave Nigel and Kavi here at 13 and just go to Europe? I hope so. I'm gonna keep hope alive, because they obviously knew you weren't drinking and doing drugs. They were like, that's not her jam. I would love to be able to know that so deep that me and Jess could just leave for Europe.
Totally.
Your parents are amazing.
I'm gonna visualize that.
Speak truth to power. Speak truth to power.
Hey man, we get metaphysical here. That's our jam.
I like that. I do too. It's all good. It is all good.
Well, you know, at some point, I want to have you on that note. Not to interrupt, but because I know we don't want to keep you too long either. But
I'm chilling, guys. I'm chilling.
We just started. I just came up with this new segment called Dream Time. And I just recorded the first episode. So any metaphysical experiences that you have had even recently, because I have some super recent ones, synchronicities or anything, you know, let us know about. Come back on, talk about it, or we
record
could do
a short segment for it,
or record a little video and be like, "Hey, man, this really crazy thing happened," and so here's the story, because I want to do a whole part of the podcast dedicated to that, or the Patreon or something, or just the
that's so cool
YouTube channel. Yeah, because man.
Well, we're finding that a lot of these things are happening, and they're like the people who, it's not like we're putting out an ad that says like, hey, had any crazy shit happen recently that, you know, transcends reality? Like, hit us up at whatever. Like, they're finding us, we're finding them without even bringing it up. It just seems to like just arise to the conversation, and it's like, oh shit, you too, like you're also having wild shit happen right now, and it's whether it's the world or whatever, and it just where we're at, it's just insane, the things that are kind of like, actually it's the most sane, not insane, but it's like you know, like some of the stuff that we're encountering is just like, god damn. Like,
I figure if you're on the podcast that you're already dialed into the frequency, so it's probably happening to you.
That's you are the frequency, dude. Like,
I'm buzzing all the time. All
you fucking are,
crazy, man. It's crazy. I got shit to tell you. I got crazy shit. It's all the shit you can't see with your eyes, man. I got you. I got it. All bullshit aside, I'll tell you all about it. Yep.
It is all.
Let's go. I'm listening.
Yeah,
absolutely.
We need it now too, because with everything like deconstructing and crumbling and exploding and imploding, it's like that truck that almost hit us. You know, it's like, it's dicey out here, and I feel like your intuition has to be like really sharp. You know, this guy said something. We're actually going to have him on the podcast, I think, tomorrow. He said, think about it. Your whole nervous system is just all these strands that conduct electricity. You know, he's like, you're a huge antenna.
Yeah.
And of course we're psychic. You read a crowd, Mike, or you walk into some place and you're like, that's a bad feeling. Something bad really happened here, or that guy's feeling dark right now, or this person's attracted to me, or what, you know what I mean? It's like,
Yeah.
we're
Absolutely.
psychic all the time. Like, what are you talking about?
And we're exchanging energy and reading the room and all of those things and reading people and this person's not, they're vibrating in a way that just isn't the math for me right now. You know what I mean? And but this person is, and whatever, all those things. No, I definitely feel that. I definitely feel
and
that.
growing up in New York, it's like you've been growing up in a power plant. You know what I mean? Like, you literally have every energy. And some of the folks that are crazy, right, Karina, New York crazy, are just on another, like they're visiting from another planet. They just happen to not fit into the mold. Some folks in New York that I've heard, like, I'll walk by someone and they'll say something and it's like, how did you fit so much logic in a sentence to no one? You're talking to a car that's parked. You have sneakers on your hands.
Oh my God.
Like,
Dude,
how is it somehow you're the most brilliant thing in this block and we're at, like, near a museum of modern art and you're somehow, you know what I mean? It's like there's lightning rods all over
100%.
New York that are just dressed like people.
Definitely. And in those cases in particular, I always think about just how easy it is to fall off the map and, like, not assimilate, because we're in all these structures and societal pressures to be just like this. And we're not just like this. Are you fucking kidding me? I'm not. It's a miracle I stayed so straight and narrow and, like, did the school thing and did the college thing and whatever. But, like, do you know how easy it is to have one little thing in you that allows you to not do that, or allows you to not sit in a chair and, whatever it may be, and not retain what your teachers are telling you, and then say, and then get angry about whatever it is, like all those people,
Well, and also
I feel that.
And one, like the thing that is incredible about talking to you is that you are young enough to energetically embody what you know you experienced in stability and love from your parents and from your upbringing. Now imagine if one of those things didn't hit, that throws your trail off on a different path. Not that it would have been good or bad or different, who knows? But
different.
It's different.
Yeah.
So
definitely.
we're all like we're all the path that we kind of have been given to travel, and sometimes it's like, wow, I got to go blaze my own, but it's interesting. Like, just like what you said, it's so
Definitely
amazing to think about.
I've seen too people, like, they could be the richest people. It just don't matter, man. That thing that you're talking about, Karina, if it gets you, it gets you. And you see, I think a lot of this probably for you, and we're all very lucky, but when you come out of when you have family, it comes out of a situation like the Holocaust and having to escape, the narrow escaped. They liberated that train. What about all the other trains, right? So then you think, your perspective is different. I'm sorry, your perspective is different. You'd be like, you have a level of gratitude for just. I used to say, wow, boring is great. Because all the drama that was going on, I was like, God, I wish I was bored. I wish internally I was. Yeah, I mean, I don't want to be bored. I'm not dumb, so I'm not going to be bored. But just everything, not a Holocaust, not a war, not a, storming the Capitol, like not a coup. Like, can we just have a boring day? We're so blessed to have
totally.
Stability. Yeah. And you grew up in people knowing the value of that, and even waiting to have you to make sure that this could be, like,
that's incredible,
cool for you. That's
100%.
And look at the results. Ta-da!
Yeah. The frequency.
I is what I
Karina,
is.
The frequency Rykman.
It's beautiful.
It's a thing. I'm so lucky, and I think because of that, it's kind of just ingrained stability. Like, that's why live music appealed to me. You know what I mean? I was like, this is exciting. This isn't intellectualism that is, like, which is, I'm all about all of that, and, like, it's all good. But, like, I wasn't going to be a professor. You know what I mean? Like, that didn't, or whatever. Like, everyone in my family is a professor. Like, they're all, if you like, whatever. I'm like, I wanted to you know, this sort of the magic of the musical thing that you guys know, you know what I mean? Like that appealed to me because I have this like foundational calm, you know what I mean? This foundational thing.
Yeah, the balance of the scale was like punk band. You know?
I was like, sounds right. It sounds right.
Yin yang, right?
Foundational calm is such an interesting thing to think about. Like, that's really huge. Like foundation. How much of the world is foundationally uncalm or unstable or tumultuous?
No matter. From richest to poorest.
Doesn't matter.
Just doesn't matter at all.
Yeah.
Oh,
exactly.
Yeah.
The suicides will happen equally.
And the miracles will happen equally.
100%,
Foundational calm.
100%.
I love
Foundational
that.
calm. You like that, right?
I totally do. Can that be our band? Can that be? We'll do a.
Yes.
I'll hum. I'll go.
We start with ballads.
Ballads.
We just do a 10-minute crying solo.
Just drones. Yeah, just drones, dude. Let's just drone. You and me, we can drone. I want to rip a Type 5 though. Let's rip a
Type
drone, 5. And I rip a Type 5.
Yeah,
I got the mic.
And I'll light you and we'll go. That'll be great.
What's going on?
Hey, how we doing out there? Anybody celebrating anything?
Weston, Connecticut. So good to see you tonight. You guys look great. You look great.
Oh, you look great. Karina, you're amazing.
You are
really, really
you're amazing.
Beautiful energy.
Guys,
beautiful.
I'm
it's
so
nice to
chat.
Can I tell you one more story about the Allman Brothers? Because this is so good, and I've been waiting. It's not even. Oh, Teal, I'm so glad you're on the line. This is great. This is like my childhood, you know, just like this is great. Okay.
The beautiful part is I don't feel old either. I never felt old. You have like a
I'm trying
magic.
not to make you feel old.
That's beautiful.
So listen, I'm in 9th or 10th grade, right? I've just seen all 10 nights. Lying, cheating, and stealing my way there. Terrible, just terrible. Anyway, it's all great. It's all great and it's all worth it. I'm tired. You know, because I'm at school every day, 8:30 in the morning. And at my school, you know, New York, right? 9 stories, 9 floors. You have to walk up and down that shit every day.
No elevators? Oh.
Well, here's the story. You can only get elevator privileges when you're a senior, right? Guess who doesn't care about that? Your girl. So, your girl. That is a law that I am consistently defying, you know, and people are not too happy about it, right? So I've just seen 10 Nights at the Allmans. I'm tired. I'm wearing like a government mule, like tie-dye. Like I'm just not having it, you know? So I get on the elevator for my, you know, class on the 7th floor that morning. And then boom, I got really good grades, A's, except for this one class, chemistry, taught by a woman named Kim. Not a very nice woman. Didn't like me at all. It's okay. It's okay. They don't all have to like me. She didn't. It's all good. But I get off and elevator doors open and it's Kim, very upset. And she's like, Karina, choose me out. Who do you think you are? Why do you think the rules don't apply to you? This is the 4th time this week I've caught you on the elevator. One more time, I'm writing you up. That's going to lead to like, you know, getting really not having it. And I am just taking it. And, you know, she's at this moment holding the elevator door open, right? And just berating me. And then your girl snapped. And I just said, Kim, give me a break. I'm exhausted. I just saw 10 Nights of the fucking Allman Brothers, man. And then she lets go. She like beep beep boop boop beep, you know, and couldn't. And then lets go of the thing, and it's just like elevator doors closed. And that was it. And I thought, you know, I was like, wow, that was probably the most ballsy shit I ever did. So anyway, I just wanted to tell you.
Kim said, what are you going to do with your life? And Karina said, I want to rock.
Give me a break, man. I'm exhausted. I just saw 10 Nights of the fucking Allman Brothers, man. I'm 15.
Amazing.
Like, what? You know, nobody else in my grade even knows who that is. Like, what? It's so, like, not in the realm of
just
things
crashed her hard drive. She's just like,
beep, boop, bop, boop.
Okay.
Amazing.
I love it. I'm so
Didn't get written
glad.
up.
I'm so glad I was a part of any small way of that.
You were a part in huge ways, dude. Huge. I can't even tell you what it all meant to me at the time and still means to me. And just like, you know, having it to study and you and and just the guitar interplay and what you were doing, it really like, and I don't play like you at all, and I never could. How could I?
No, but
I
that's
learned
the whole
so many
thing. It's
lessons
just-
from you, man.
Oh,
It really
thank
means
you.
the world. Seriously, thank you
I
for
think you
doing
d-
it.
You're doing it such great justice. I remember seeing this interview with Garcia, and he said this thing that I've heard as a refrain, where he characterized him and the Grateful Dead as pathologically anti-authoritarian, and I was like, that's why I'm in this band. I was like, it makes perfect sense now. That one thing, and so it's so beautiful. Like the way you've lived your life is almost like going against the grain of the whole drugs and the whole. It's like you're rebelling against that. Although it's not
Right.
really rebelling. I mean, you just naturally feel it. But the sticking to, I don't know. I love it. I find it to be exquisitely balanced, or just the yin yang. I just love it. I love it. So
Aw.
thank you. Hearing that I even, have a part in that in your story that much is really beautiful, and I can't wait to see your band now, because now I know what it's gonna feel like. I'm like, yeah, she's ready to go. Like, I'm ready. I'm sure everybody's like, we're.
I think
all
I have a
ready.
new favorite episode.
Yeah.
This is fantastic,
Aw,
man.
You guys,
Yeah,
you
you're the
guys.
best.
I'm
You're
so
the
glad
best.
you would
You're the best.
have me. You're the best.
No.
We could chop it up for hours. We got
We will. We've got nothing but
Dude.
time, friend.
We're just getting started.
That's right.
Let's go. Let's go.
So, Karina,
Everybody
tell
rips a type 5. Sorry.
tell everybody real quick. Tell everybody, because we're gonna put this out before your big gig at the bowl. So tell everybody about Brooklyn Bowl and where they can get tickets and find you and all that fun stuff.
Yes, you guys. That's awesome. Guys, hi. Karina here. How's it going? I'm playing the Brooklyn Bowl on Thursday, February 24th. It's going to be a regular old jamboree, whatever that means to you. But no, we will be having a wonderful time. And it would mean a lot if you came. It would be great for me. Let me tell you. I think it'd be great for you too. But you can get tickets to all of these upcoming shows that we were talking about at KarinaRykman.com/tour. And I hope to see you there. And thanks for putting it out before the gig, guys. Before the big
course.
gig. It means a
Our
lot.
pleasure.
That's awesome.
Heck yeah.
This is so
Always
fun.
rooting
I'm
for
so
you,
glad.
buddy.
Oh,
Always
you're
rooting
so
for you.
sweet.
You're the
I love
best.
you guys. Oh,
Thank you.
you're the
Thanks for
best.
listening, everybody, and we'll see you next time.